are the New York Knicks. I'm back. Rocking in New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts just like winter.
New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, it's the New York Knicks Podcast, episode 458, part of the Almighty Baller Podcast Network and Dash Radio. I am Jay. With me is Mark. How you doing, Mark?
Good. How are you doing?
Great. I am doing fantastic. I'm going to start off with a quick little clip for you.
Yes.
And I want to discuss real quick. So this is somebody asking Kevin Durant a question. All right.
Yeah.
So when you come to the Knicks, man, come on.
Never.
So that was somebody asking Kevin Durant when he's coming to the Knicks, and he said never. I know it's been getting passed around a lot recently, but that is from 2017.
Are we past never?
That's the thing.
Okay,
I think
we have an updated clip. Do you want to just we'll have to just I don't have the video's not working. Do you want to just role play it? You be the reporter.
Okay. Kevin Durant, are you coming to the Knicks?
No. N-O. No. No means no. No.
Okay, that you heard it. You heard it here first. That's Kevin Durant.
If that actually happens, I'm going to lose my mind. He better come to the Knicks.
Yeah, he's not coming. You know he's not coming.
He better. To deal with this season, this has been, my God.
This is really what it is that this is what I do. I buy the lottery ticket. We buy it at work. I start fantasizing. I'm like, well, has to be fate. We wouldn't have bought the ticket at that hour at that place if we weren't going to actually win it. We have to actually win the lottery. He's not coming here. We know he's not coming. I want to believe. My heart is in it. I think at the beginning of the season, I would have given this a negative 1% chance. I am up to thinking it's like a 30% chance, I'm all in on him coming here, but it's not happening, right?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think based on Dolan's interview where he strongly implied that we're going to have a good summer, and the fact that they traded Porzingis for cap space, the signs point to yes, but the Knicks history points to no.
Why would you trade away the best player since Patrick Ewing, who you drafted, to clear salary space if you didn't have some inkling that Kevin Durant was coming here?
Yeah.
And if you're Kevin Durant, why would you not want to go from the best team in the NBA to the literal worst team in the NBA? Why would you not want to do that?
There's also a clip from Noah. Let's see if I can get this one.
God bless. God bless the earth and the trees.
No, enough of that. That was.
Why did you play that clip?
That was Noah saying "Ja bless." So I think he was saying that we're going to get Ja Morant.
By the way, so just relate to that 1 second. If the Knicks run the table and win the rest of the games this season, do you know where they finish?
Second to last?
They cannot get right now. If they would win 22 games, and they would be in the 5th seed. That's if they run the table and everyone else loses all their games.
Not 5th seed, 5th worst record.
That's the 5th seed.
Okay.
Oh, do you do the seeding differently? Yeah. Right now it looks like it's Phoenix Suns have 17 wins. It looks like the Knicks are pretty much locked to be the worst team and get the number 5th pick.
Yeah, they would have to go 4-4, which would be an incredible run for this season.
It would be a goddamn Miracle on Ice Disney movie.
To not have the worst record in Knicks history.
So Ja Morant had a huge round one game round one of the tournament. Murray State, they had a big upset of number 5, whoever the hell was number 5.
He had a triple-double, right?
Yeah, triple-double. Yeah, he was huge in that game. And when the 12 upsets the 5 seed, it's usually like they beat them by 5 or 3 or 4 points. It's like a close game. They stomp. They basically just stomped on their necks. Basically, they just destroyed the number 5 seed. So, and Morant was the one that led them. That being said, they got their asses kicked in the second round.
I have a feeling that's who the Knicks are going to end up with.
He looks like a guy. I don't know. He's a little like a. I don't know. They're like a little scrawny. I don't know if he's scrawny. He's like thinner. He probably can use like fill out a little bit. But he's fast. He can shoot. I don't know. He looks like a pretty good player. He could pass. I have no idea. It's also against college competition. You don't even know because I've been watching Zion, and I'm like, Zion looks really good. Or are these players just not as strong, and like the guys in the pros will be stronger, and Durant won't be. I mean, Zion won't be able to like get the same positioning and like get the. Will Zion be shut down because the guys in the NBA are just stronger? I don't know.
I don't think so. Zion's a freak of nature.
That being said, I remember the second half of round one game for Duke. Like it was, I think the Duke was up by very little, and the second half just started, and Zion just took over the first few minutes of the game, like just adding it, like he was crushing it basically. And I was like, oh, this guy looks goddamn good. And then, did you watch the game today?
I did not. No.
Okay, so the game today, they were Duke was down with 2 minutes to go. It looked like a big upset, and so I got my son to watch. I got him. I talked to him like, this is the guy the Knicks want, Zion. They got Barrett also, who wouldn't be a bad pick. And he got really into rooting for Duke, which I figured why not? I want to see how far Zion can go. And it was Zion. Basically, they were down by 3 with like under a minute to go. Zion's with the ball, shoots a 3. 2. What happens when he shoots a 3, Jay?
He misses.
He misses because he's not a 3-point shooter. Though he made 1 or 2 through like past 2 games. Then he gets the ball and he says, forget going for the 3. He just like bullies himself into the paint and takes a ton of contact and somehow makes the basket. Goes to the line to tie the game. What happens?
He misses the free throw.
He misses the free throw. Barrett gets the rebound, scores the point. They're up, and then I forget who they beat.
I don't even know who they played.
University of Central Florida or something. Who had they had this chance to win the game. They missed 2 shots at the rim to like lose the game, but it was a pretty big. We get to see Duke again next weekend, which is cool. And Zion looked pretty good, and Barrett looked pretty good too.
Why are you getting your son's hopes up for Zion?
I know. I really got. He was really by. I mean, it only took like a minute or 2 for me to get him really into this. I was like, this is really important. Like it was like, and the fact that it's just a close game. Like I feel like if the Knicks are ever goddamn good, and we have lots of games that really matter, my son will get really into the Knicks because I can really build it. I can get him into it really fast.
I think a lot of people would get really into the Knicks if they weren't the worst team in the league.
Yes, that is true.
So I want to thank everybody who's actually still with us and listening to the podcast. I'm not being sarcastic or anything. I'm impressed that people are actually still downloading. Well, when we just got our 60th loss of the season.
Oh, you know what? I didn't realize it was 60. I'm out. It is really like it's hard to watch the games. I impress anyone that's still watching all the full. If anyone's watching the full games, I'm very impressed. There's nothing you're watching for anymore. Like
no, I watched to see what they do. Like I was rooting for them to win against the Lakers because it's the Lakers and it's funny, and they did win. So that was a fun game.
They have 2 free victories. Basically, they have 14 wins. Phoenix has 17. They can win 2 games and still have the first seed. So we should root for victories. The chances of the Knicks winning 2 games the rest of the season are pretty low. So just root for victories.
You could root for victories, and you could root for them to like just mess with other teams.
Yeah. But
like Detroit, like what if Detroit loses one more game, they could end up in the 8th spot, and then we could root for the Knicks to beat them and just bump them out of the playoffs.
Yeah, it's something. That's something.
It's something.
Yeah.
That's all we got, just to spoil other people's times. Or Miami. I definitely want to see them bump Miami out, too.
Yeah. Are you not excited to have Frank Ntilikina back?
Just in time.
Has anyone not written him off so far? Like, what do you think the collective fan base, and obviously they're still true believers, the collective fan base, I feel like, or more casual observers, have kind of said he's probably a bust. Maybe we shouldn't give up on him, but he's kind of probably a bust.
Yeah, I mean, this was a really, really bad season for him.
this is a bad sophomore, and like just not be able to stay on the court, and like,
Yeah.
and you really wonder if he's ever going to make that next step on offense to make him really like, or his defense is going to get to the point where really he has to stay on the court.
Yeah, we've said before, he has good defense, but it's got to be like the best defense in the league to make up for his offense.
Yeah, I mean, and the guy that's worth watching for is obviously Mitchell Robinson these days. But even his minutes are so like all over the place.
Is he? I thought he was getting consistent like 20 to 22.
Oh, okay. So against the Clippers today, he got 14, and those two. I understand they giving Jordan more minutes against the Clippers because maybe just they're like, what the hell? Like Jordan's a veteran, he probably wants to play against the Clippers.
Yeah,
so
revenge game.
Yeah, that's totally. I get that, so I'm not really that annoyed. I'm not really annoyed. He played 14 minutes. He got 2 steals, 2 assists, 2 blocks. Pretty solid numbers for 14, and he only had 2 fouls. So
Yeah, so he's been one of the 2 shining moments of this season.
I mean, he had a good night. Like against the Nuggets, he had 23. He had 16 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks. He puts up numbers. We'll see what happens next season as far as him getting more minutes and like him becoming a starter, basically. But he's really all there is to watch for right now.
Are you happy with any other players on the roster?
No, who are you?
Yes.
So you're now a liar?
No, I am now on the bandwagon for Kadeem Allen.
I mean, I think he's a fine like bench piece. Why?
He does basketball things, and there's not a lot of players on this team that do.
But I just don't think he's like a high ceiling guy. I think he's
I will
solid
take a functional NBA player at this point.
He is another Dotson, which is not a bad guy to have on your team. But again, I know we talked about the fact they're building from the bench, kind of like the bench guys first, not on purpose, but you might need some starters on this team. So like next year, if Durant and Kyrie or whoever else comes here, we get Zion, we get some like real offensive talent for starting. Having guys like Dotson off the bench, Kadeem Allen off the bench, they'll be solid guys off the bench. We'll give you good minutes.
Yeah, that's fine. We need somebody who can play basketball.
Kadeem Allen also, he looked good before Moutier came back, and they just like got rid of him for a while. I know he's on a 2-way contract also, which limits how many games he can play for the Knicks. But I like Kadeem Allen. I'm not. Are you really excited about him?
I mean, I'm not like, oh boy, I get to watch Kadeem Allen tonight, but I do get.
Do you think anyone besides his family members say that?
Well, if I'm watching a game though, I'm like, okay, cool, Kadeem Allen's in the game. It's not Moutier. I'm happy that Kadeem Allen's playing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm definitely like, I am all out on Moutier. I just don't see a reason to.
We're at the point of the season where I'm like, oh, good, a G League player is entering the game.
Yeah, I actually. Well, I'm sorry. I do want to see Smith Jr., but he's injured now, so I guess there goes that.
Yep.
But he was a guy I am. But again, he's very inconsistent. So his sophomore year is still not. He still has a ways to go, but he looks better than he would than much better steps than Ntilikina.
Yeah, I would say he improved from his rookie season, so that's moving in the right direction.
A slow improvement, but an improvement.
Yeah.
Kevin Knox, are you still like super excited? I
No.
Forget this. Let's move on from Kevin Knox. Hizonia has been getting a lot of minutes.
Great. I mean, great block against LeBron, but
I mean, is the Hizonia stuff to him that the coach is being like, hey, we know you're playing for a contract now for next year somewhere else. We'll give you some minutes at the end of the season to look so we don't be jerks. We're not jerks, basically. No one else deserves minutes anyway. So
yeah, at this point, it's probably just like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying like they're like do a solid for a guy that's like been in the league for a few years, just wants a contract. Like he's a hard work. Hizonia is just not what I don't want Hizonia back on the team next year.
I mean, if Hizonia is really trying to get a nice contract, he's not playing himself towards one.
Do you think? Yeah, well, he's not getting a nice contract. He's getting a 1-year deal somewhere else.
I could see him getting a 2-year, $10 million or something like that. But yeah, he's not getting a. Thank you, ESPN. He's not getting a 4-year anything.
Well, I hope he doesn't get a 2-year deal because the only team that would be dumb enough to do that is the one he's currently on.
Yeah, I know. I feel like he's been bad basically 8 out of the last 10 games, and I feel like the Knicks are the type of team that would focus on those 2 good games.
Yeah, he's had some fine. I mean, obviously he's had the LeBron block, but he has some okay moments on defense where he looks like he makes a good plays and like he doesn't look atrocious on defense. But the problem is that his offense looks atrocious now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's been shooting pretty bad.
But going back to the draft, and then let's go to some questions. But going back to the draft, I obviously Zion is still my number one.
God damn it! Okay, sorry.
Why do you keep hitting that button?
It's not. It's a different page. But
okay.
Anyway,
okay. Yeah, Zion obviously is number one when both of our minds. Who's your number two at this point? You see a little bit of tournaments happened.
I think Ja.
Ja Rule?
Yeah.
Why over Barrett?
Barrett, I feel like was really overhyped. I haven't seen him do anything where I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely a number 2 pick.
He can score.
Yeah.
I guess the downside is he may be a high volume scorer, like a low efficiency, high volume scorer, which you don't want.
Yeah, we've had plenty of those before, and we saw how that worked out.
He hasn't been low efficiency in the NBA in the college yet. He's been semi efficient. I don't know. From the little I've seen of Barrett, I like him better than Ja. And people, and Ja's been kind of like being hyped up, moving up the hype train.
Yeah, I think SI has him projected at the number 2 right now.
Okay, I mean either one would probably not be a bad pick. I'd like to see who else like stands out in the tournament. They had that guy, like I forget Edward something, who like had 41 points the other night and like was hitting like threes where everyone was guys were in his face and just hit the three anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget the guy's first name or what team he was on because I'm a moron. But it doesn't even matter. Knicks aren't going to draft the guy. But it was pretty cool to see him like the defense hand like right in his face, basically touching the guys. Basically on defense they were poking him in the eye and you just hit the three anyway.
All right,
Knicks,
that's interesting.
Knicks need a guy like that.
I mean, we have to look lower in the draft because I have a feeling we're not getting number 1 and probably not 2 or 3 either.
Well, hopefully not lower than 5.
Yeah,
Knicks have to. Even the Knicks fallen in every draft they've been in the last since Patrick Ewing. Basically, they've only fallen in drafts. They've stayed where they are or fall, and they've never risen.
Yeah. Let's go to some questions.
Okay, let's go to questions. You want to go emails first?
Yeah. So, Mr. C writes, sorry to ruin your hopes, but it looks like JD and the Straight Shot albums exist. And he sent me a link to eBay. So, James Dolan runs his band as good as he runs the team because the 2 albums that I said don't exist only exist as secondhand copies on eBay. They're still not on Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, anything. So, apparently they released an album at some point and somebody bought it and decided they didn't want it anymore. So that's the only way to get the album.
Well, it's a rare edition, being that no one wanted it, so they didn't really produce many.
It boggles my mind why you would make an album and then just have it not available anywhere.
That does seem, well, I think the reason that makes sense is they have presumed, based on Dolan's popularity, that this question would never even be asked. Like, no one would even care about that.
They came out with a new album this week, by the way.
Oh. Because I was going to say, it's kind of like, Jay, if you just wrote a book for yourself and just self-published it and gave it to your family members and you assumed no one else in my family wants to read this book, that's kind of what Dolan probably made the album and goes, I assume no one's going to actually want this album, so I'll do nothing to, try to sell it.
But I would still put it online, just in case.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah, they came out with a new. Are you going to review the new album for your site? Because Jay apparently doesn't love music. Jay, by the way, Jay has a site called Jay Loves Music. It's a site devoted to Jay not reviewing music.
I took this week off from pretty much everything. I took a week off from the job. I took the week off from Facebook. I took the week off from updating my music site. I took the week off.
I think the music site should just turn into every post. You'll put a band album. The title will be review of Sonic Youth's first album, and the entire review should be you bitching about your job. and see if anyone notices.
Not a bad idea.
Okay, so let's go to questions.
All right. Sam writes, I wished Phil was smart enough to trade KP for Kawhi back when the Spurs had interest. We all do, Sam. We all do.
Yes.
Can you imagine? All right.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done imagining. I'll go on.
Okay. Dave writes, if one of our worst case scenarios happen next year, as in we end up with a draft pick in the 5 to 8 mark and we don't get an A-list free agent at all, and hoping the Knicks are smart enough not to sign any B or C list agents, who are some D list agents?
We did this question last week. I think we did the other question last week also.
Oh,
remember you weren't on for a week?
Right, I did skip a week. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, if you want to address the question, why don't we did that? What's C list free agents?
I think you and Dustin did a good job on that.
Okay, well, let's get your view. You're on the spot, Jay.
I think I said it a couple weeks ago. I would just like a 1 year. If we can't get any of the big free agents, sign anybody for a 1 year deal. Just to use up the cash.
Apparently, Jay, you don't understand the question. It wasn't like what you strategically think we should do. It meant what fun players we like to sign. Like we were talking about signing Vince Carter could be kind of fun to have his last season. Try to understand the question, Jay.
Okay. So fun players. I would say somebody like. I was going to say Gallo, but he'd be too much money, probably. Right.
Yeah. By the way, do you like how I rephrase that in the most jackass way?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much. The meanest, most demeaning way possible.
Yeah, possible. Okay. Who else would be fun?
I would say who's fun? We could run it back again with Jimmer.
Jimmer, I think got signed.
He got signed for the rest of this season, so he's like on a 7-game contract, I think.
That's great about Jimmer. They're like, we signed a guy who scored 80 points in the game this season. He'll probably suck.
Wouldn't it be fun if we just got all the knuckleheads? Just like,
I mean, Fredette is a guy that like. I mean, it's also the difference between like being able to score in college or any other league, and not the NBA.
You know, there was an interview with Patrick Beverley the other day, and he is so likable. I would love to have a guy like Patrick Beverley on the team.
But there you go. Give a $17 million deal, 1 year deal to Patrick Beverley.
I wouldn't even mind giving him a couple year deal. I mean, the guy tries really hard. He's really good on defense.
Okay, probably not $17 million, but like a 1 year deal, like this. Like we should throw out an asinine contract to someone who we just feel like having on the team.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, like the Rockets trying to bring back Beverley, and we're like, hey Beverley, give you $25 million for 1 year. That makes no sense. Yeah, we're just going to screw with the Rockets.
I mean, that wouldn't be a bad idea to just if the Knicks don't get who they want, just play spoiler for the season. Just offer a 1 year, $20 million contract to somebody who can't afford that just to mess with them.
Lakers will be all in. They'll be maxed out, and just see whatever guy's about to sign like a 1 year, like whoever guy's about to say like, you know what, I'm going to give a shot with the Lakers. I think I want to win a title this year, and just swoop in and offer that guy $20 million not to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be so funny.
By the way, Lakers, awful record currently. They're like 10 games under 500. They are in the 10th seed in the
they're eliminated already. 10 games left, they're eliminated.
It's amazing how awful the season has been for a team that just signed the quote-unquote best player in the NBA.
I mean, they did have a lot of injuries, but I think throwing the entire team under the bus probably did not help.
This is my nightmare for next season. If Kevin Durant comes here, all I will think about, because we're Knicks, is that we'll have the same thing will happen. Somehow it'll be the worst possible season of Kevin Durant's life.
The Knicks are going to need to really strike gold in the draft and get another person, or this will be the Knicks season next year.
Well, I assume if Kevin Durant comes here, since he's a likable free agent, another star player will come here. There'll be the second guy that we're going to max out. So we'll have two very good players.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the draft pick ends up being from 1 to 5, we'll probably trade that to get a veteran. It's just a matter of like how good that pick will be depending on what veteran we get.
Yeah.
Like there's a good chance like if Zion comes here, we're trying to try to swap him for Anthony Davis or someone else pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess we could talk about that later. But do you disagree? Would you disagree with that move?
No. I mean, desperate times.
There are some fans that are saying like, "Hey, if let's say the Durant scenario works out and we get Zion, they would not swap Zion for Anthony Davis." That sounds insane to me.
Yeah, it's the trading a not sure thing for a sure thing.
Yeah. What are the chances, as good as Zion's going to be, that he's as good as Anthony Davis? The chances are so minute.
Well, wouldn't you just hope that he ends up being as good as Anthony Davis?
Yeah. Or you could just have a guy, Anthony Davis already.
Right.
You could have the guy that's entering the prime of his career, or the guy that you're hoping in 5 or 6 years is almost as good as Anthony Davis.
You see, the thing with that is, I would say you get him on a rookie contract, so that's a really good thing to have a guy who could be really, really good on a rookie contract. But Kevin Durant is 30, so you don't have all these years to putz around and hope he develops and works out.
Plus, if you're getting Kevin Durant on a max deal, signing another player on a max deal, chances are that rookie contract's not going to make that big of a difference because you're not going to have much cap space anyway.
Yeah. Sam writes, "Hey guys, I was thinking, what if the Knicks fall to 4th in the draft? My order is Zion, Morant, Barrett, Reddish. I don't want no parts of Reddish. He looks like Brandon Ingram 2.0. I don't even want to think about falling to 5th. Help. Also, I would trade Frank for a bag of Chex Mix."
Yeah. So, would you trade? Well, first off, Reddish looks like the guy I don't want. He seems like he disappears in game. We already have Knox disappearing. We don't need another guy that's going to disappear. He's supposed to be decent on defense. I don't want everything I've heard about Reddish sounds like the guy you don't want. Basically, he's a lot of potential that's not worked out at Duke so far.
Every draft has players that come out of nowhere and end up being really good, and I'm sure there'll be some in this draft, but this looks like a really weak draft.
I mean, I think DeAndre Hunter, that's his name, is supposed to be pretty good. You might maybe take him. I also would like to see a lot of guys make their names in this tournament. We're only 2 rounds in. Let's see what happens in the next few rounds. There might be another guy that really emerges from that.
I know, but I always feel a little skeptical about, hey, this guy played 3 good games in a row. Let's pick him top 5 in the draft.
Yeah, no, but a lot of guys have really stepped up their game and really emerged in the tournament and end up being very good NBA players.
Yeah.
It's a top competition. It's better than getting their licks in beating Akron State.
It's true.
But no, you're right. Obviously, the regular season matters a lot. But the guys that really step up in the tournament usually, you're right. I don't write a player off based on their tournament performance or anoint them as a god based on their tournament performance. But in a draft that's been so weak and it's really hard, once you get past even 2 or 3, it's really hard to separate the guys. Maybe one of these 2 of these guys can separate themselves and
I just feel like that's how you end up with James Jones.
Why?
The season's 35 games, and he played 3 good games in a row, so let's give him a contract.
Are you thinking of James Jones? You're thinking of someone else.
Isn't it the guy who was on Seattle and he had one?
Yeah, but is his name James Jones?
I don't know.
Whatever his name was.
I've blotted that part of my Knicks life out of my head. He had 2 J's in the name, right?
Yeah, but I don't think it was
whatever. You know what I'm talking about.
I forget his name.
It was, you know what it is.
Yeah, I know.
It was terrible. It was one of the worst moves the Knicks made.
Maybe it was him. Maybe anyway, I don't think it's James Jones. James Jones is the guy that shoots the threes.
Yeah, you're right.
Whatever. Terrible Knicks. Jerome James. Isn't
Jerome
it?
James.
Yes. And Jay told me when we listened to last week's episode, he goes, "You say too much," and all I start every transition is I can't stop myself from doing that.
You got to go for the pause. I say too much too. I wonder if we just drive people crazy with that. We're working on it.
It can't be any more painful than the Knicks' actual play.
Kenny writes, "Hey guys, 2 questions. Have either of you seen Ja Morant recently? Excellent player with confidence to match his ability. Would you consider him as a number 2 pick over RJ Barrett if we don't get number 1? Also, what would happen to Smith, Frank, or Moutier if we took him?" Well, we talked about, I think I'm more into that idea than you are.
They say Morant is not that great on defense, but I haven't seen enough of him to really know that much about his defense. I've just read like scouting reports. He looks great on offense. I wouldn't be upset if the Knicks took him.
And I think that would really help as far as not having to re-sign Moutier.
Well, I think Moutier's gone either way. I think
I don't
between
know.
Dennis.
The front office seems to like him. He keeps getting minutes.
Well, if they sign big name free agents, he's out because it will be worth bringing back contract wise. And Durant's not going to be like, wait a second, you're telling me Moutier's going to be my point guard?
Yeah, I'd rather run with John Morant and Kadeem Allen than Moutier, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I think Kadeem Allen, Kadeem Allen, Ntilikina. Well, Ntilikina hasn't shown you crap, but Kadeem Allen and Dennis Smith have shown you enough that you don't need Moutier here anymore.
Yeah.
But I would say, yeah, as far as that, I feel like Ntilikina is going to be traded for a draft pick this year. I think the Knicks will actually. I don't know if he'll actually be traded, but the Knicks will be very open to trading him at the draft.
Yeah, if somebody makes the right offer, definitely.
A first round pick and Ntilikina is out. I don't want to trade him for a second round pick. I think he's good enough that I would, or he has enough potential that I think it's a stupid move to trade him for a second round pick. But first round pick, I think he's out.
Yeah. Part 2 of Kenny's question. Absolute highlight for me this year is Robinson game after game. Superman wears Mitchell Robinson pajamas. What is your highlight from the season, player or moment? Cheers, you guys. Fill your glass up again, Jay. Thank you, Kenny. I usually do drink during the show, but I'm being good today.
Yeah, he's the ultimate highlight. There's nothing else in the season that's been really worth it besides watching him.
I would agree with that. The occasional Kadeem Allen game. Dennis Smith Jr. every once in a while does something where you're like, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, well, everyone has their moments. I mean, obviously,
not everybody.
Hezonja had his moment against LeBron James. Everyone had some moment where you're like, oh, that looked pretty good. But overall, Mitchell Robinson's a highlight reel. Everyone else is like a clip here or there.
That might be Hezonja's highlight moment of his career.
Yeah, well, it's not a bad highlight moment.
It's not. It's not. But it's also sad that, like, on a 14-win team, you have your highlight moment because you blocked another player from a bad team.
Yeah. So, Frank Isola had a good comment. He said, "Let me find the quote from him because it was actually a pretty good quote." I cannot find. He basically just said the Knicks basically said the record doesn't matter. Don't pay attention to what like winning and losing or what's going on. At the same time, they're like the record doesn't matter, but the stats are real and they really matter. Can you trust the stats on a bad team? Are we buying too much into what guys do on a bad team? Like earlier in the season, we were buying in too much into Kevin Knox. Maybe he's been exposed a little bit. Do you think Mitchell Robinson, the team is he good enough that he rises above? He'd be good no matter what if the team was good or bad.
I think so, just because I feel like defensive stats are more telling on a bad team than offensive stats are. Does that make sense? Like, you can put up points on a bad team.
Easier.
Somebody has to score, but if you're getting athletic blocks and you're in the right spots, that to me says you know how to at least play on that end of the court. And
right, every possession, someone's going to get a shot off on your team for the most part. Your team's still going to score. Your team's going to score at least 80 points every game of the season. So someone's going to have to get points. And if you're getting blown out a lot, you get easier baskets because the other team doesn't give a crap. Defense is never a gimme.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's a very fair point.
Almost like when Hezonja goes off versus when Robinson goes off. I feel like Hezonja is more empty stats on a bad team type of thing.
Yeah, I think most of the Knicks players. I think you could say that on any offensive category about most of the Knicks. A lot of what they're doing can be interpreted as a bit empty. Like a Kadeem Allen, he's had his moments. But who knows? That's just because he's on a bad team, and if he goes to a good team, like he would just be buried on the bench and never play.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we're about agreed with that. And a highlight. I mean, that block was I can't believe Hizzonia is my highlight for the season, but that was really cool.
Because it's LeBron James, and I only like seeing bad things happen. That's my. I would think that if you want to show a clip show of how bad LeBron's season has been, you start with that clip and go from there.
Yeah.
Any more emails?
No, that's it for emails.
On Twitter, we had a couple questions.
And I think we got a direct message on Facebook, too.
Okay. Where are they now? Orlando edition. This is from QHAR. Elfrid Payton, 5 straight triple-doubles, becoming just the 5th player to do so in NBA history. The other 4 being Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, Oscar Robinson, and Westbrook. So those 4 players and Elfrid Payton.
Can you believe Payton got 5 straight triple-doubles?
Holy crap. You think Orlando regrets giving up on him?
He was really bad in Orlando. Maybe it's just some players really do need a change of scenery.
Maybe Orlando's just really bad developing players.
He just wasn't clicking with whoever else was on the roster.
I mean, Orlando's going through a lot of players in that roster. Like
They've gone through a lot of everything, a lot of coaches. I mean, there's just a lot of turnover on that team.
That is fair. That is true. Yeah, that's pretty good. I also think, though, I mean, it probably is a little more. He's not up to those other players, but it's interesting. Also, question. Alan writes, did Joe predict you played this, right? Did Joe predict the Knicks drafting Ja? You played that already?
Yeah.
Okay. Facebook direct message question. This is from, as soon as this comes up on my screen. Thank you, Facebook. I just wanted to. Justin writes, what top 2 free agents are we getting?
It better be Durant and somebody else. I would say Durant and...
You make your argument for number 2. Who do you think... Let's just presume Durant's coming here, and all the goodwill that comes with Durant coming here. Who's our number 2? Who's our number 2 draft? Number 2 signing? Not who you want. Who will it realistically be?
Kemba Walker.
Yeah. Well, if Kemba Walker comes here, then we're not drafting Ja.
Maybe not.
The Knicks, they'll know basically. The draft happens, free agency happens right after the draft, right?
Do you really put it past the Knicks to not have 5 players play the same position?
Presumably you would take, if you know you're getting Kemba and Durant, and you don't have the number 1, let's say the number 2 pick, you probably draft Barrett.
Probably. I feel like the Knicks are such a wild card. I never know anymore.
Do you think, so the guys you really want, Kemba's not the guy you really want. And Kyrie, I know you don't love, and Kyrie, I really think Kyrie is going to go to the Lakers. I think he made up with LeBron. He's ready to go back play with LeBron again. I think that's happening.
Kyrie's too injured. I can't trust him to stay healthy for a season.
But again, this is not who you want. This is what will actually happen. The Knicks are serious about Kyrie, I feel like.
Yeah, they are. I think there's a better chance of Kyrie going to the Knicks than the Lakers.
What about? I think it's the other way. I think he liked playing. I think he decided that he liked playing with LeBron, and he's up for doing it again. And I don't think the Lakers are signing anyone else.
I think that thought crossed his mind before he saw playoff mode LeBron.
So I think,
because as soon as LeBron enacted playoff mode, the entire season went down the tubes.
He just didn't. So, do you think Klay or Kawhi are there a chance they're coming in? The theory is Kawhi is probably going to the Clippers if he doesn't stay in Toronto. But do you think Kawhi or they either one of those guys sees Durant coming here? Do you think we get a chance we get Klay or Kawhi?
I mean, if it was Kawhi and Klay instead of Durant, that would be pretty fantastic.
But that's not happening. It's going to be Durant and one of those guys. It's not going to be those 2 guys signing here.
I don't think Durant and Klay would both leave the Warriors.
Why? Like, if one's leaving, that would entice the other one to leave. I don't think Klay's leaving. I think
Klay
he's
already
going to stay
won
in
a
Orlando.
championship without Durant.
Golden State, yeah, sorry.
Clay already won a championship without Durant.
But I understand that. I'm just saying that do you think there's a chance? I think it's a greater. The Klay is not Klay and Kawhi coming here. That's a 0% chance. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think Durant is the best. Durant's the most likely of the star players to come here.
I would say Durant and Kawhi would be a better chance than Durant and Clay.
Why? Because my argument would be if Clay's going to leave, he'd be most comfortable leaving with like a guy he's been playing with for the last few years and he knows he'd be walking into a very good situation by going with Durant.
That is true. I have a feeling that Clay wants to be on the Warriors for life.
I think you're probably right. I mean, maybe Durant makes the argument to him that like, hey, let's build in New York where like you win there. Like, it'd be great if we could win somewhere else. But and do you think there's a chance Kawhi would come here?
I think so. Kawhi, I know it seems like he wants to play in LA, but do you really like the Lakers are not very appealing right now? And,
are there?
Like the Clippers are good, but you're not. If his goal is to win a championship, I don't think they're there.
If anything, you might want to just stay in Toronto.
Might want to stay in Toronto. At least stay in the East. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. What about of the other free agents? Like instead of Kemba, would you think maybe Jimmy Butler? Even though Jimmy Butler sounds like an awful teammate.
If the Knicks get Jimmy Butler, we'll record our final episode.
No, you won't. No. That's not true. If the Knicks get Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler, you will talk yourself into Jimmy Butler.
I will not.
Yeah, if the Knicks get Kevin Durant, you'll talk yourself into Hitler playing alongside him.
I am so out on the idea of Jimmy Butler on the Knicks.
If the Knicks sign, they're going to sign someone else with him. Kemba would not be bad signing.
I woke up
need
in cold sweats the other day just at the thought of Jimmy Butler on the Knicks.
My cold sweats really are the Knicks going just like Kemba Walker and Jimmy Butler, just like two guys. We're not going anywhere. We get there. Like Kemba Walker and Tobias Harris, and let's just roll the dice there. That doesn't sound good to me.
I'm so upset now at the thought of Jimmy Butler coming here.
Yeah, well, if we get Zion, also getting Anthony, you get what? Jay's like, it's the last show. We're swapped Zion for Anthony Davis. We have Durant. And they've signed Jimmy Butler, and you're out of the team now? Yeah, I am out of the team. I'm not going to watch any of this success. How awful will our show be when we have to record when the Knicks get the 5th pick in the draft and they get no one in free agency? We'll have to pretend the next season's going to matter. We're going to have to go, oh, another season in the tank. This will be wonderful. That'll be the worst. That'll be the worst show of our entire podcast. It's just trying to talk each other out of killing ourselves.
It'll be the 5th pick, Jimmy Butler and Kemba Walker, and we're just that's our team for the next 5 years.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Rob writes in Facebook, how in the world is Lance Thomas still on this team? And I think he's signed for next season, right?
It is amazing that they even thought to put Lance Thomas on the team to begin with.
I would say Lance Thomas, if they go super team next year, I don't mind having Lance Thomas off the bench. But I think if they do that, they probably will stretch him to get as much cap space as possible.
I don't know what happened to Lance. At 23, he looked like he was going to be really good. And then at 27, he looked like he should not be in the NBA.
Oh, you know what happened? He didn't really look that good at 23. That's what he never looked like that great. I only watched him. I didn't watch his college career. I know he was a good player in college. I've only watched him in his time in the Knicks, but he was never that great he was never a very good player in the Knicks. There's no point where you're like, oh, we found a starter.
Oh. Yeah, no, I'm tired. I was thinking Lance Stevenson that whole time. Lance Thomas, you're right, never looked good.
Yes, Lance Stevenson looked good for a while. Lance Thomas, I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Lance Thomas has never looked good.
No, Lance Thomas never looked good ever. So, yeah, I take all of that back. I had Lance Stevenson in my head because I was still thinking of knuckleheads that the Lakers signed for no reason.
Later on, Jay has to correct himself. When I was thinking of Frank Ntilikina, I had in my mind Wilt Chamberlain. I apologize.
All right. And this
I
is an
won-
episode I haven't been drinking for.
Yeah, so I once in that same long. This is a short tangent. I was in high school. We had to like learn about like the criminal like crimes. We were like it was like a criminal law type thing we were doing in school. I forget what class it was, and we had to like everyone picked a crime out of a hat, and you had to like go write about that crime, including like talking to a police officer about their view of this crime. My crime ended up being what's it called when you cheat on your wife? Like
Adultery?
What do you say?
Adultery?
Adultery. Yeah, it was adultery. So obviously, it's not even on the books in most places, but it is a crime. It's still in some places. I had to go to a police officer and like interview him and talk about adultery, and his like response was like, it's really frowned upon. It's a pretty horrible thing when that kind of happens. We really look down upon it. And then like midway, he's like, "Oh, sorry, I was thinking of pedophilia. No, we don't even give a shit about adultery." I was like, "What the hell?"
It's true. What are you going to call the cops? Like, you cheated on me?
Put him in jail. Put that bitch in jail. Yeah, so Knicks time writes, if the current Knicks team entered the March Madness bracket, what round would they lose in? And Josh responds they'd win every game by 40. So this argument always comes up. You take the worst team in the league, how they do it against the college players. What do you think, Jay?
I don't think they're winning by 40. I do think they win. I don't think they win by 40. I think they have some close games.
This is an interesting team to play against a college team because look at the team. Who are we starting? Most NBA teams, I would say, you're completely right. Like they have veterans. All these guys who are really good in college, and the veterans are not going to lose the college players. They're just smarter. They're stronger. But look at the Knicks team. The Knicks team is just a bunch of guys that really were in college last year. We're starting Kevin Knox, who was in college last year. We have Mitchell Robinson, who did not play college last year. We have Ntilikina 2 years from. Most of these guys have so little experience. I don't think it's as clear cut. It's definitely not winning by 40. But do you think, looking at this roster, is this clear cut?
I still think it is. I think Hazonia beats up on college kids. I think DeAndre Jordan. Yeah, he would beat up a lot of those guys. They have enough players where they would win, but yeah, I would say average margin of victory like 15.
I think they'd probably win the tournament. It would be close. I think they might have a close game or two. The Mitchell Robinson would look really good, and he would block a bunch of shots. Ntilikina's offense still wouldn't look that great.
Mm-hmm.
It would still be a disappointment. Moutier probably would look pretty good against these guys.
Yeah, I think Dennis Smith Jr. would look very good against these guys.
Yeah, Knox, you're right. Hazonia.
I think Hazonia would look good. Yeah.
Dotson. I don't think Lance Thomas would still look kind of okay. I think this would be a tough game. I think it would be a tough tournament for this team. I think this team would be as close as it gets to losing it to a college team.
Fair.
Hard to argue with that, I guess. Justin writes, "What top 2 free agents are we getting?" He asked that question. We already answered it. Josh writes, "If Morant drops to our pick at 4, do we just take him and work out the point guard situation later? Play Smith and Morant together?"
Yeah, always take best player available.
Yeah.
Even if you have no intention of playing him, somebody will be willing to trade for him. So always best player available.
And in fairness, it's not like Smith is like I like Smith, but it's not like we found our point guard yet. So
yeah, that's another good point. It's not like any of these guys are so amazing that you could be like, nope, point guard situation's all settled.
Right, exactly. Jeffrey writes, if we get KD, would you rather not give max money to Kyrie and instead split the money between 2 second-tier free agents? And
Absolutely.
If so, who?
Absolutely.
Do you think there's a chance that Durant comes here and he's okay with that? And I think Durant, whatever you say, these guys like Durant shouldn't be able to control what we do. But I think if he's coming here, he's like, you're signing another max free agent.
Probably.
I'm playing with a star. I'm not doing this bullshit. You guys, you sign another star.
Probably. And he probably would push for Kyrie, which players seem to love Kyrie, but
I mean, I don't know if he'll push for Kyrie, but if you get KD and your first he signs, you're like, hey, the whole big another max player for you. We're thinking about just getting 2 or 3 pretty good players. You immediately even if that's a smart plan at some level, you immediately create your locker room goes to shit right away. Durant's like, okay, I don't know why I signed here, and everything goes. You don't want to start that way off. You really want to make Durant happy if he signs here.
Or if you go, hey Kevin, thanks for signing here. We're gonna sign Gallinari to a $25 million 1-year contract just to screw the Clippers, and we'll get you your guy next year.
Hey Durant, thank you for signing here. It's still a rebuild, just to let you know. You got to earn your minutes, then. Right now you're behind Kevin Knox. I would say it's also that sounds all well and good. If you look at the list of free agents, there are a lot of free agents out there. Most of them will not make enough of a difference. In this league, you probably need 2 star players to really compete.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at the teams. Even the teams that are dominating the East, they've merged. Toronto obviously has Kawhi. They also have Pascal Siakam has really emerged. He looks like he's an all-star player at this point. And they got Lowry. They've 3 all-stars right there.
Yeah, well,
you look at
using the term all-star very loosely in that situation.
Okay, Lowry is an all-star. Did Siakam make the all-star team this year?
I don't think either of them did.
Lowry didn't?
I don't think so.
Well, Lowry has made the all-star team.
Well, yeah, but
I guess it's the same thing as saying I've got Derrick Rose. I have an MVP on my team.
Right. You can't.
Okay, so all-star level talent player. What the hell's wrong with you? These are 3 of the top 3 top 50 players in the top 40 players in the league.
Top 50. It's wow. I'm super impressed that they have 2 top 50 players.
You get my point. They're 3 star players. I won't say all stars. I'll just drop the all and just call them star players.
Look out, Warriors. We have 2 top 100 players in the team.
Anyway, you have that. Milwaukee has maybe the best player in the league with the Greek Freak. All these teams, you need multiple star players to really compete these days.
Unless you're Milwaukee.
Bledsoe's very good. They have some very good. You're right. You got Giannis. It's a little different story.
I mean, you think anybody's like, oh my God, we have to play Chris Middleton today.
It's one thing Milwaukee has. If you can build a team where you have a really great star and you have a bunch of really good if you have a star player and the Clippers, where you have a bunch of very good players that all play together, and that's great. But it's hard to really build that full team of we have from 1 to 8, we have all these really good players. You're going to have, even if you spend the money, you get 2 players. It's still going to be you're still going to lack depth for the Knicks.
Yeah.
There's so many guys that are not so good. You're better off going the star route. Versus Kawhi goes to the Clippers, they are better. It's still a tough path in the West, but they have an interesting team there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of depth on the Clippers.
All right, let's move on.
Okay. Marc and Jay, David writes, you're walking down an alley. 5 guys walk towards you. You look back and 5 more are actually coming behind you. Choose 1 Knicks player, past or present, to help you survive this ambush.
It'd either be Anthony Mason or Charles Oakley.
Yeah.
Probably go with Oak.
Yeah.
I don't think you could go wrong with either of those, though.
I would have gone Anthony Mason, but yeah, I agree. Those are Marcus Camby back in the day.
I'd still go Oak or Mason.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to go anyone else.
I mean, people probably wouldn't mess with you if you had Ewing with you either.
A lot of the players would be pretty good guys to have because they're all giants. Who would be the least helpful guy to have next to you?
Jimmer?
Jimmer would not be very helpful, no. Nate Robinson?
I feel like Nate has that little bit of a crazy streak, though.
But he's also short, and that doesn't really help.
He's short, but he's jacked and crazy. That's not a bad guy to have on your side.
Fair. What about the current? Let's go current roster. Which Knicks player would you most like to have next to you to throw down, and which would you least like to have to throw down? Okay, most I assume we're gonna agree, but just go for it.
DeAndre Jordan.
Oh, nah, I want a more Yeah, I guess you got New Jordan. I was gonna say Mitchell Robinson's pretty tall, kind of. I mean, he's a little thin, but he's huge.
Yeah, but DeAndre Jordan's huger.
Yeah, okay, that's a fair point. Who do you least want next to you, like throw down? This I think is an easy one.
Frank?
Yeah,
Poor Frank.
you really can picture Frank just being like, "Can't we all just get along?"
Yeah.
Leonard writes, "Can you guys rank which free agents you would like on the Knicks next year?" I feel like this is gonna be a theme going forward.
Yeah, I feel like this is a theme since like February.
Let me see if I can get your top 5, Jay. Number 1, Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, this is just what you want, not what you not. This is not what the players will do.
Mm-hmm.
Clay.
He would be 3.
Really? So I thought you might say Clay over Kawhi because Kawhi's number 2, right?
Yeah.
I thought you would say Clay because Clay has shown to be a much better teammate. Doesn't like disappear from one of the best run organizations in the NBA.
This is true, and for some reason, Kawhi's been missing a ton of games.
Clay's a very solid teammate, very good as far as being a role player, plays excellent defense, can knock down the 3. And not that Kawhi Leonard's not a very, very good player, probably a superior player, but he also disappeared from the goddamn Spurs.
Yeah.
So it disappeared from a very good team. So so Kawhi 2nd, Clay 3rd, your 4 is Kemba.
God, this really does trail off quick, huh?
Yeah. And then your 5 is signing 2 mid-level free agents instead.
Oh, well, just to name a player, I will go with.
Wait. So that's to name a player. It's not going to be Kyrie. It's obviously not going to be Jimmy Butler. I think you are going to go with. I don't know who you're going to go with.
Tobias Harris.
I knew you were going to say Tobias Harris. I should have said that. God damn it. Can we rewind time? Declan writes, how much money are the Knicks going to pay Moutier next year? Also, will you stop watching basketball if Katie and Kyrie sign to the Nets next season instead of the Knicks?
Oh my God, can you imagine?
Holy crap. Well, yeah. Hey, would you sign D'Angelo Russell?
Yes.
He's going to be a free agent. Would you sign D'Angelo Russell over... I assume you're not going to sign him over Kemba.
I don't know.
Really?
What would you want D'Angelo Russell at like 12 to 14 or Kemba at 25?
Oh, I guess you don't understand. D'Angelo Russell wants that same contract.
Well, of course he wants that. So does Isaiah Thomas.
Well, he's not getting 12 to 14. 12 to 14 he's going to be you're not getting D'Angelo Russell for 12 to 14. He's going to want at least 20 and you're probably at least 18 million a year. He's probably going to get it from some team. He's looked really good this year. He's really stepped up his game. He's going to get a big contract. 12 to 14 is completely unrealistic if you're trying to sign him.
I would think about it.
He's going to say, I'm as good as Timmy Hardaway at the very least. I will not take less. I will just leave the NBA if you don't pay me as much money as Timmy Hardaway. Yep. So would you take D'Angelo, assuming D'Angelo Russell is going to sign for 18 to 20 million a year, would you take him over Tobias Harris?
No.
Okay. What's your reaction going to be if they sign with the Nets? KD and Kyrie. Basically, KD, obviously you don't give a crap about KD. You don't love Kyrie anyway, but KD signing with the Nets, does that make you want to just like end the show?
Probably just pretend we were always doing a Nets show. Continue with the numbering and just be like, yeah, no, it's the Nets show. It's always has been. What are you talking about?
I know someone who is a lifelong Knicks fan. He was born in Brooklyn, grew up in Brooklyn. When the Nets came to Brooklyn, he said, I'm switching allegiances. I always wanted a team in Brooklyn. He jumped bandwagon, and right now he's looking pretty smart.
Yeah.
And I can't blame him. Like, if it's, what would it take for you to switch? Like a team coming to, you grew up in Long Island. If a team came to Long Island, would that get you to think about switching?
There is an appeal if it's a brand new, not if it's a team moving, but if they started a brand new team, that would be tempting.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing if you have an area where you really, this is where you grew up, like, it's interesting if a team comes there.
And it would be cool to watch a team from scratch.
Aren't we doing that with the Knicks already?
Yeah.
So Moutier next year, assuming, so Moutier, we'd agree Moutier is only coming back if the Knicks don't sign big name free agents, right?
Yeah.
So if Moutier does come back, what do you think the contract is going to be?
Like 2 at 10.
Yeah, I think that's about all. Actually, if even the Knicks sign big name free agents, if they want Moutier back, he probably would sign a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
With an option for year 2, maybe, or something.
Yeah.
Love talking about these awesome players we've picked up that are make us so excited, like Moutier. What did we learn today, Jay? Do you have more you want to discuss, or?
Oh, quick thing, fantasy. You owe me a burger, by the way. I made the playoffs in fantasy.
Oh,
So I finished in 6th, so I was playing a 3rd place team. And on Sunday night, I look, and there's 9 statistical categories. Dead tie, 4-4-1. We're both tied at 30 blocks. So we're messaging back and forth saying, well, what happens now? It's a tie. And I looked it up, and they actually said the higher seed automatically wins, which is bull. But I woke up the next morning, and I had 28 blocks, and I lost 4-5. They took 2 blocks away overnight.
Oh, I mean, that does actually happen.
So, yeah, anyway. I won tonight, so I won the consolation round, but I came within 3 blocks of pulling off an upset.
I can't believe I owe you a burger. God damn it. I really thought we weren't going to make the playoffs.
You owe me 3. Because the Nuggets are tied for the number 1 seed in the West with 8 games left. So
Wow.
don't think they're going to fall to 5th.
If Nuggets play the Spurs in the first round, will the Nuggets lose?
No.
There's a chance, though. That's like a series where you're like, that's an upset special, basically, right?
I feel like in the West, every round except the 1-8, if the Golden State's won, would be potential for an upset.
Hard to, yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, right now it'd be Clippers, Blazers. That could be an upset. Thunder, Rockets can absolutely be an upset.
Yeah.
And Jazz, Nuggets could be as well.
Yeah. Not that this is there's a poll I just saw also on RealGM.com where they asked fans after Zion Williamson, who's the next best prospect. 55% of fans said John Morant, who I guess has gone up the hype train. RJ Barrett's second at 36.9%, and then basically it's Cam Reddish, Darius Garland, and DeAndre Hunter. We all get very few votes.
Ugh. Yeah,
so
this is not a strong draft. I'm worried.
Which really makes you worry. Also, like maybe who knows if Morant and Barrett will really be good, but really, like if you fall outside top 3, it's really brutal.
It is. It's such a crapshoot.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we're done for this week.
Yeah, I think we're done for this week. Anything else, Knicks? Anything else NBA wise you want to talk about? We're not there for the playoffs yet. I want to talk more about the playoffs and all that, but we got like another week or 2 of the season.
And we got another month or 2 to talk about free agents, so we'll pepper that in, but I don't want every episode to be that right now.
Why don't they give Ntilikina? I guess he's coming off the injury, but why don't they just give him 35 minutes a game the rest of the way just to see like what happens?
Yeah, why not?
I don't know why like they never just do that. Like just go like, hey, what the heck? Let's just see how it goes.
And the whole rest of the season should be, hey, what the heck?
I mean, I feel like playing Hezonja is, hey, what the heck anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. What did we learn today, Jay? Anything at all, Jay?
We learned that there's going to be a lot of free agency talk coming up.
And draft talk. And, okay, let's end the show.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will be back next week.
Bye, bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. alone.